All right, in this episode, we talk about recovering from a meniscus tear
and ipsilateral to contralateral tilt.
All right, Brent Porcio and Stephen Godani's on his way. The @Top Velocity #PitchTip Show. We go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. @Top Velocity #PitchTips, #Baseball Tips. Ask your question, we answer on the show. Talk about the Pocket Radar. We get a coupon, 10% off, guys. Top Velo is the coupon code. Top Velo at PocketRadar.com. This is highly recommended for our programs, 2X, 3X programs, all our med throws, target throws. We highly recommend that you measure with this device so we can understand progression. You know, you make a mechanical change, you measure, you know, hey, you know, that was a good movement. If I kept my same intensities and it went up, that was a good movement. If I kept my same intensities and it went down, then indication that maybe not a good movement. So if we're not measuring and we're just going off feeling, we could be going down the wrong road. So highly recommend this for measuring through our progression of the program. Same time too, you should know all the goals in the programs, so we work towards those goals. Not all just about velocity, but it helps us understand how what we're doing is affecting the end result, which is the end result. You know, it's cool when you go now to MLB.com. If you look down, did they just start doing this? They are showing now perceived speeds, average exit speeds, basically off the hitter's bats. They're showing average velocity. The cool is just the perceived velocity. Are you seeing this?
Yeah, they have it. They do that. The one the other day was the extension when I put it on Snapchat.
But they're putting it on MLB.com, which is pretty cool.
Oh, they're doing it on MLB.com.
It's like if you go to MLB.com, you know, we used to go to Fangraph to get velocities. Now MLB.com is putting it all on there. So it's pretty cool to see that. So there's more metrics, guys, that are really coming out, and it just helps us better understand what's going on. I think we're going to learn 2, 3, 4 years from now that just overall ball speed is not that much important anymore. It's important, but there's so much more pieces that we learn, you know, like, okay, speed out of the hand, speed over the plate, perceived velocity, you know, bat velocity, how hard are they coming off the bat, spin rate is on there too. These things are probably going to hold more merit, just like in sabermetrics. We started finding more value in on-base percentages as opposed to batting percentages. I believe this is going to happen with biometrics. I pitched that to a major league organization 2 years ago that, you know, sabermetrics is the movement now, but eventually it's going to be biometrics. And I just want to say that now. We're going to see this, guys. We're going to see biometrics or biomechanics and defining values of players. So, for example, with sabermetrics, we know, hey, this guy had a great season because his on-base percentage was this, and there were all these things showing where his success was. That makes him a highly valuable player. But say the next year he has a really bad year. Why did he have a bad year? The in-game statistics aren't going to tell us why he had a bad year. Well, yeah, no, he just didn't hit well. He wasn't on base. But no, why did he go from a great year to bad year? We can't really learn that in season. What we do learn is biomechanics. So if we have metrics defining those movements, we can be like, look, his hip rotation velocity slowed down or his trunk timing changed. That was significant, and guys, that's when this game takes another big leap. Be prepared for that, it's coming. Just seeing MLB.com moving into all these metrics, and we're also seeing the game, it's gonna keep going into biometrics, and it's gonna happen. And that's why we recommend you come to 2X, 3X camp and learn it, guys, because we understand it already. It's just a matter of it getting more mainstream and us getting more hands on the data, but we have it, and we have training programs to manipulate it and enhance it. That's why we suggest you come down here.
That was your best pitch yet.
Yes. All right, so what's the question for the day?
Graham Tibbet asks, I had surgery 6 weeks ago on my meniscus. I've been doing clean pull to a high pull. Pro camp is 4 to 6 weeks away. Suggestions?
Graham, I'm assuming you're not catching because it's going to hit the knee and the patella hard, and that's what the meniscus is. It's a stabilizer. So I'm assuming you're not catching for the purpose of that, and that makes perfect sense. A lot of loads are hitting your body. But I would suggest when you're ready to build those loads again, start small and work on torsion. I've found in catching the loads, if my knees are in torsion, not pushing forward, if I could show this, it would be my knees pushing forward, then I don't feel it hitting those stabilizers as hard. When I go into torsion, I feel my knee is more stabilized, so I don't have to have more stabilization or expect more demand of stabilization. And I also don't feel I'll have any chance of it twisting too far in that direction. When I go into torsion, I'm pretty much as far as I can go, and I just feel like it's less on the patella, it's less on torque in any bad way. I'm not a doctor. I would just say though, focus on more torsion. If you can get in more torsion receiving the bar, you're not going to be slamming forward, which I believe weakens the knee, can overstretch that patella, and could probably lead to hurting yourself. So I understand why you're not catching, but there's lots of gain there, I believe. So you might want to start working on that concept of torsion and start going back into that. So is any other suggestions? Just, of course, a lot of, building everything up slowly, but getting back to squatting, and don't discredit your hamstring work. We get very quad dominant. Learn better squat technique, because you could be just putting your lower half in a bad position in your squat. If you have to, start off with a lot of leg extensions, curls, get good integrity between your quads and hams. Same time too, work on your hip mobility. Make sure your hip mobility, because if I have poor hip mobility, I'm not stabilizing well on my hip, and then my knee is unstable. So get your hip mobility better. Dorsiflexion, if I don't have a lot of dorsiflexion, basically any joint outside of the knee that doesn't have mobility, then the knee could be taking it off. Okay, so get everything distributing the loads and working together in proprioception to stabilize the lower half with good mobility, good strength, and just slowly progress through that. That's the way I would do it. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was just talking to Brent about this with Kelly Starrett. I was saying I'm trying to figure out my right hip, and it's crazy to look in mobility WOD or his becoming a supple leopard, or just watching his videos on YouTube and everything he talks about, how it's like Brent's saying, if something's off, it can be affecting your knee. If you don't have good dorsiflexion, if you have poor hip mobility, something's going wrong. You're breaking your chain somewhere, and it can be leading to your torn meniscus. So that's something that you can just look into. And I bet you, if you just read in the becoming a supple leopard, I bet you would find your answer in there somewhere along the way, that your chain broke down and it led to it.
Take a multifaceted approach, guys. Don't just go at strength training for strength. Go in for mobility. Go in for motor control. Go in for power. Go in for anything else. Anything that really supports the athlete. And look at it in every piece, in every direction, because you'll always be healthier doing that. Yep. Okay. Next question.
Jacob Meyer asks, any chance you can take a look at this?
So Jacob, it's a good example for those. You're in your lifts, you're in too much ipsilateral tilt, that's tilt to your throwing arm side, contralaterals to your glove side. So contralateral is this way, ipsilateral is this way. You're in too much ipsilateral tilt going forward. Your leg is collapsing earlier because you're leaning in. It's hard to hold things back, like your arm back, you're in torsion. If you're leaning forward, it all wants to collapse and go in. So you're collapsing into back leg, early into front foot. Your arms almost go into a sub position, but then you contralateral hard to get it in an abducted position, but I don't even think you're getting it fully abducted to where it's in a healthy arm slot. It's borderline. But this ipsilateral to contralateral adjustment at front foot strike makes you become very rotational in the arm, then casts out in front of your face. So we've got to start from the beginning and stay more vertical to contralateral. Okay, load into the hip, hold the knee into torsion. Okay, and then when you initiate force and drive into front foot, the arm cocks back here, and the trunk stays contralateral back here. Then we go into rotation like that, and then all that energy coming off that back rubber should then catapult the trunk forward. Okay, so you just need to really start to get control of your trunk and get it to the contralateral side, and things should start working for you. It's going to be so awkward when you do this because it's so different than how you throw, but it's going to be huge in you cleaning up your arm, because I'm seeing arm injury, I'm seeing poor speeds, I'm seeing chaos because that trunk is all over the place. We've got to keep that trunk on the contralateral side so it separates and it can receive the energy from the lower half, breaking in the front foot. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, it's like you're so bent over on the ipsilateral side, it almost looks like you're going to go into a submarine.
That's how a sub guy throws.
Yeah.
He goes ipsilateral because then his arm drops and he goes into a sub position. Now, that's why sub guys are going to throw harder than they could potentially in a contralateral abducted position, because everything wants to go early when you're in an ipsilateral position.
Yeah, and then also not only that, but it looks like you're getting a lot of early trunk rotation too. Before he's hitting, starting to pull the glove side, which is going to put more stress on the UCL. So
because your back leg is collapsing, you start pulling the glove side to overcompensate to get the shoulder rotation going.
Yeah. So that's what I see.
Cool. So focus on contralateral tilt. Start learning some contralateral tilt and good lower body momentum and power, and that should start cleaning up. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Come down to the and ask your question, answer the show. Come down to 2x3x camps. Getting big for the summer, so hurry up and book them now. We'll see you on the next episode.